Have you ever looked at a photo and noticed something weird? Not weird in a bad way, but weird in a wait, what's happening here kind of way. If you've ever seen pictures of Keanu Reeves with his fans, you might have spotted something unusual. Look closely at any photo of him standing next to someone. Notice his hands. They're just floating, hovering in the air, like he's afraid to actually touch the person next to him. At first, people thought it was just a coincidence. Maybe one awkward photo, right? But then someone started collecting these pictures. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. And they all showed the same thing. Keanu Reeves, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, the guy who fights bad guys and does his own stunts, was doing something that seemed almost scared. But why? The internet noticed. And what they discovered changed how millions of people think about celebrity photos forever. It started on Reddit. Someone posted a collection of photos with a simple title, Keanu and the Hover Hand. Picture after picture showed the same thing. A fan would stand next to Keanu, smiling big for the camera. They might put their arm around him or lean in close. But Keanu? His hands would either stay by his sides, rest gently on someone's shoulder, or hover a few inches away from their back. Never around the waist. Never on the lower back. Never pulling someone close. Just hovering. One photo shows him at a comic convention. A young woman stands beside him, clearly excited. Keanu is smiling his usual kind smile. His hand is curved like he's putting his arm around her, but there's a clear gap. You could fit a phone between his hand and her back. Another photo from a movie premiere. Same thing. A female fan, a big smile, and Keanu's hand floating in the air behind her shoulder. Then another. And another. And another. People started looking at all his photos. Red carpet events. Fan meetings. Charity functions. Parties. It didn't matter where he was or who he was with. If Keanu Reeves was taking a photo with a woman he didn't know well, his hands followed the same rule. Some people thought it was funny at first. They made jokes about it. Keanu is afraid of women, one comment said. But most people sensed there was something deeper going on here. This wasn't fear. This wasn't awkwardness. This was a choice. A very deliberate, very consistent choice. But why would one of the nicest guys in Hollywood do this? To understand Keanu's hover hand, you need to understand something important about the world we live in. For a long time, celebrities thought they could do whatever they wanted. They had fame, money, and power. And sadly, many of them used that power in terrible ways. You've probably heard stories about celebrities who were inappropriate with fans, who touched people without asking, who thought that just because someone wanted a photo, it meant they wanted to be grabbed or squeezed or held too tight. Then in 2017, something changed. Women started speaking up. They started sharing their stories about celebrities and powerful people who had crossed lines, who had made them uncomfortable, who had touched them in ways they didn't want to be touched. This movement was called Me Too. It spread across the internet like wildfire. Every day, new stories came out. Famous actors, directors, producers, politicians. People who seemed untouchable were suddenly being held accountable for their actions. The world started having a serious conversation about consent, about boundaries, about the simple idea that just because someone is a fan doesn't mean you have the right to touch them however you want. And Keanu Reeves? He was already living by these rules. Long before Me Too started. Long before it became a big conversation. He had already figured it out. Why? Because Keanu understood something simple but powerful. When you take a photo with someone, they didn't give you permission to touch them. They gave you permission to be in a photo with them. Those are two different things. Think about it like this. If a stranger asked to take a selfie with you at the mall, would you want them putting their arm around your waist? Pulling you close? Touching your back? Probably not, right? You'd want them to respect your space while still being friendly. That's exactly what Keanu does. He respects space while being friendly. When you compare Keanu's photos to some other celebrities, the difference is shocking. There are photos of other famous actors with their hands way too low on fans' backs. Pictures where the celebrity is pulling the fan so close it looks uncomfortable. Images where you can see the fan's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, like they're not really happy about what's happening. One celebrity was famous for always grabbing fans around the waist. Another would pull women close to his chest. Some would put their faces right up against fans' faces, invading their personal space completely. Then you look at Keanu's photos. The fans always look genuinely happy, comfortable, safe. They're smiling real smiles. They look like they just met someone who treated them with kindness and respect. Several fans have shared their stories online about meeting Keanu. One woman wrote, "I asked for a photo and went to put my arm around him. He smiled and asked, 'Are you comfortable with me putting my hand on your shoulder?' I almost cried. No celebrity has ever asked me that before." Another fan shared, "I was so excited I hugged him without thinking. He hugged back but kept his hands on my shoulders only. So respectful. I'll never forget it." A man who met Keanu at a restaurant said, "I saw him taking photos with people and noticed he always asked before touching anyone. When it was my turn, he asked if I wanted him in the photo or if I wanted him to take the photo for me. He gave me choices. That's respect." These stories kept coming. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. All saying the same thing. Keanu Reeves treats people like people, not like objects or opportunities. So where did Keanu learn this? Why is he so different from other celebrities? The answer might be in how he grew up. Keanu's life wasn't easy. His father left when he was young. His mother worked hard to raise him and his sister. They moved around a lot, never staying in one place too long. Keanu has said in interviews that his mother taught him to respect everyone, especially women. She showed him through her own hard work and strength what it meant to treat people with dignity. He also had a sister who dealt with serious health problems. For years, Keanu helped take care of her. He learned what it meant to be gentle, to be patient, to think about other people's comfort before his own. Then there were the tragedies. Keanu lost his best friend in the late 1990s. Then his girlfriend died in a car accident. Before that, they had lost their baby daughter. These experiences changed him. They made him think deeply about life, about kindness, about what really matters. He became someone who understood pain and tried not to cause any more of it in the world. In one interview, Keanu said something that explains everything. "I try to be kind and do good. That's all any of us can do." This wasn't just talk. This was how he actually lived his life. Every single day. In every single interaction. Even in something as simple as taking a photo with a fan. The beautiful thing about Keanu's hover hand is that he never brags about it. He doesn't post on social media saying, "Look how respectful I am." He doesn't give interviews talking about his boundaries policy. He just does it. He lives his values quietly, consistently, without needing praise or attention for it. That's what makes it so powerful. This isn't a publicity stunt or a calculated move to look good. This is just who Keanu Reeves is as a person. Other celebrities have noticed. Some have started copying him, keeping their hands visible and respectful in photos. Younger actors have said they learned from Keanu's example about how to treat fans properly. But it's not just celebrities who are learning. Regular people, especially men, are thinking about this too. How do you show respect in simple, everyday ways? How do you make sure the people around you feel safe and comfortable? What does consent look like in practice, not just in theory? Keanu isn't perfect. He would probably be the first to say that. But he's trying. And his trying has sparked a bigger conversation about respect, boundaries, and what it means to be a good person when you have power and fame. Now, here's something interesting. Keanu doesn't always hover hand. There are photos where he actually does touch people. And those exceptions tell us even more about his character. Look at photos of Keanu with his close friends. People he's known for years. Co-stars he's worked with on multiple movies. In those pictures, he's relaxed. He puts his arm around them. He hugs them. He's physically affectionate and comfortable. There are pictures of him with Carrie-Anne Moss, who played Trinity in the Matrix movies. They've been friends for over 20 years. In photos, they hug each other tight. Real hugs. Because they have that relationship. They know each other. They've built trust over decades. Same with Sandra Bullock. They worked together in the 1990s and stayed friends ever since. Photos of them together show genuine warmth and physical comfort. Because that's what close friendship looks like. At his mother's events, Keanu is photographed with his arm around her, holding her hand, being physically close. Because that's his mom. That's family. There's even a video of Keanu at a wedding, dancing with an older woman who was clearly a family member. He spun her around, held her hand, and they laughed together. Full contact. Complete comfort. Why? Because the relationship was there. The trust existed. See the pattern? Keanu doesn't have a rule against touching people. He has a rule about respecting boundaries with strangers and people he doesn't know well. Once a real relationship exists, once trust is built, once both people are clearly comfortable, everything changes. This is what healthy boundaries actually look like. Not cold or distant or unfriendly. Just respectful until a real connection is made. One reporter asked him about it once in a sneaky way. She said, "I notice you're very careful in photos with fans." Keanu smiled and said something simple. "I just want everyone to feel comfortable. That's important to me. That's it. No big speech. No lecture. Just a simple explanation of a simple choice. I want everyone to feel comfortable." Imagine if every celebrity, every person with power, every person in any situation thought that way. I want everyone to feel comfortable. What a different world that would be. Why this matters more than you think. Okay, so Keanu doesn't touch strangers in photos. Why does this matter? Why are we even talking about this? Because this small choice represents something much bigger. It's about consent culture. It's about respect. It's about understanding that fame doesn't give you special rights to other people's bodies. Think about how many celebrities have gotten in trouble for not understanding this. How many have been accused of inappropriate touching, of making fans uncomfortable, of crossing lines they should never have crossed. Now think about Keanu. In all his years of fame, through all his movies, through millions of fan interactions, has anyone ever accused him of making them uncomfortable? Has anyone ever said he crossed a line or touched them inappropriately? No, not once. Not ever. That's not an accident. That's the result of a consistent choice to respect boundaries. But it goes deeper than just avoiding problems. Keanu's choice teaches us something about power. When you're famous, when you have fans, when people admire you, you have power over them. They're excited to meet you. They might be nervous. They want to make a good impression. In that moment, they're vulnerable. A bad person uses that power for themselves. They take advantage. They push boundaries because they know the fan probably won't say no. A good person protects that vulnerability. They use their power to make the other person feel safe, respected, valued. They think about the other person's comfort first. That's what Keanu does. Every single time. In every single photo. He uses his power to make others feel safe instead of using his power to make himself feel good. And young people are watching. Kids who grow up seeing Keanu's example learn what respect looks like. They learn that you can be kind and famous at the same time. They learn that boundaries aren't mean or cold. They're actually a form of caring about others. When people figured out what Keanu was doing, social media exploded with reactions. And most of them were incredibly positive. One tweet got over 1 million likes. Keanu Reeves invented consent culture, and we didn't even notice. Another popular post said, "Every time I think I can't love Keanu more, I learn something new about him. The hover hand isn't weird. It's considerate. More men should do this." A woman shared her own experience. "I met a celebrity once who grabbed me around the waist without asking. I smiled in the photo, but I felt gross after. I wish he had been like Keanu. I wish he had respected my space." Young men started discussing it too. "I never thought about this before," one guy wrote. But Keanu is right. Just because someone wants a photo doesn't mean they want you touching them. "I'm going to remember this." Parents chimed in with their thoughts. "This is what I want my sons to learn. This is what respect looks like in action." Thank you, Keanu, for showing the next generation how to be better. Not everyone understood it at first. Some people thought it was silly or overly cautious. But even the critics couldn't deny one thing. Nobody who met Keanu ever felt uncomfortable. Nobody ever walked away from meeting him feeling violated or disrespected. And in an age where so many celebrities can't say the same, that means something. The discussion spread beyond just Keanu. People started sharing photos of other celebrities who showed respect in similar ways. Athletes who kept their hands visible in photos. Musicians who asked permission before hugging fans. Actors who understood boundaries. A movement was building. Not a big, organized movement with a name and a hashtag. Just a quiet shift in what people expected from famous people. Treat your fans like humans. Respect their boundaries. Don't use your fame as an excuse to touch people without permission. And at the center of it all was a simple photo of a man with his hand hovering in the air, showing more character in that one gesture than most people show in a lifetime. You don't have to be Keanu Reeves to live by this example. You don't need to be famous or rich or have millions of fans. The lesson here works for everyone in everyday life. At work, when you're taking a group photo, keep your hands on shoulders or keep them to yourself. Don't assume you can touch a coworker just because you're in a picture together. At school events, at parties, at family gatherings, think about consent. Think about comfort. Think about the other person's boundaries before you think about getting a good photo. If you're a parent, talk to your kids about this. Show them Keanu's photos. Explain why he does what he does. Teach them that respect isn't old-fashioned or uncool. It's actually the most important thing. If you're a young man, especially, pay attention. The world is changing. What might have been acceptable behavior 20 years ago isn't acceptable now. And that's a good thing. We're all learning to be better. Learn from Keanu's example. Be the guy who makes people feel safe, not the guy who makes them uncomfortable. For everyone, regardless of gender, the lesson is the same. Other people's bodies are not yours to touch. Other people's space is not yours to invade. Permission is not automatic just because someone is being friendly with you. These rules might seem obvious when you read them. But in practice, in real life, people forget them all the time. They get excited and forget. They assume and forget. They think their intentions are good so the other person will understand. And they forget. Keanu doesn't forget. That's the difference. In a world that often feels dark, where powerful people abuse their positions, where respect sometimes seems rare, Keanu Reeves stands out. Not because he's perfect, but because he tries. Consistently. Quietly. Without needing applause. The hover hand is just one example. There are so many other stories about Keanu's kindness. He gave millions of dollars to the special effects team on The Matrix because he thought they deserved more money. He bought motorcycles for his stunt team. He takes pay cuts so other actors can be hired for movies. He rides the subway and gives up his seat to strangers. He once stopped his car to help a woman whose car broke down. He sat with a homeless man and talked to him like a friend. He showed up to a fan's house when they invited him as a joke, actually came to their party because he was in the neighborhood. These aren't just stories. These are patterns. This is who Keanu Reeves actually is. A man who understands that fame and money don't make you better than anyone else. They just give you more opportunities to be kind. The hover hand is part of that larger picture. It's Keanu saying, I see you as a person with boundaries, and I respect those boundaries. It's him using his platform to model better behavior. It's him teaching by example instead of by lecture. So what now? What do you do with this information? First, notice. Pay attention to how people treat each other in your own life. Who respects boundaries? Who assumes too much? Who makes people comfortable, and who makes people tense? Second, practice. Start using Keanu's approach in your own life. Ask before touching. Keep your hands visible in photos. Think about the other person's comfort before your own desires. Third, speak up. If you see someone crossing a line, say something. If someone makes your friend uncomfortable, support your friend. Create a culture of respect in your own circles. Fourth, be patient with yourself and others. We're all learning. We all make mistakes. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is trying to be better today than you were yesterday. And finally, remember this. Respect isn't complicated. It's actually very simple. It's hovering your hand instead of assuming you can touch. It's asking instead of taking. It's thinking about someone else's comfort for just a second before you act. If Keanu Reeves can do it every single time, with every single person, in every single photo, then we can all do it too. In our photos, in our interactions, in our daily lives. The hover hand isn't weird. It's not awkward. It's not overly cautious. It's just respect. And respect never goes out of style. It never stops mattering. It never stops being the right thing to do. So the next time you're taking a photo with someone, think of Keanu. Let your hand hover. Ask permission. Create space for comfort. It's a small gesture that means everything. Because in the end, that's what makes Keanu Reeves special. Not his movies, not his fame, not his money. It's his choice every single day to treat people with respect. To see everyone as worthy of dignity. To use his power to make others feel safe instead of making himself feel important. We could all learn something from that. We should all learn something from that. The world would be a much better place if we did.